Welcome once again. So planning is a management function that is responsible for deciding in advance what you are going to do. And why do we need to decide in advance? Because it helps you to be able to know what you're going to do, any alternative course of action that you need to take. And planning plays a very critical role because it ensures that as an organization, you are able to achieve your objectives and set clear objectives. So once you have those objectives in place, then planning will give you a sense of direction of where you want to be or what you want to achieve at the end of the day. It also assists managers to be able to deal with change whenever change arises. So remember, they always say that change is inevitable, and the only thing you can do is to embrace change. So if you plan well with all the activities that you need to do, then at the end of the day, you become successful and you'll be able to perform better, basically by way of planning in advance. Then planning will also assist in decision making. Will assist in decision making. So before you can make any decision, you must have planned for it. Basically, you are looking at different actions and choosing the best alternative course of action that you are going to take for you to be able to ensure that at the end of it all, you are going to perform better. So planning will help you to look at the future. And once you understand the future, then it becomes easy for you to be able to plan for it. Then work is done without interruption, since planning ensures the course of action is clear, therefore avoid overlapping and wasteful activities. So you'll be able to avoid wasteful activities when you plan well. Therefore, it means that all those activities that overlap each other will not be overlapping because at the end of the day, you have been able to plan for it. Then planning, we said, provides a standard against which actual performance is measured. So you're able to know your actual performance based on the plan that you set. If you set a good plan, then it means your performance is also going to be better. And this will help you to ensure that you set the bar so high, and it will also make you and your organization or your team members to be able to perform better. So being the first function of management, planning promotes innovative ideas as well as ideas that are going to shape your plans. So you need to come up with plans that will help you to generate new ideas, to be innovative, to think ahead, and come up with actionable ideas that can be implemented into the organization for purposes of succeeding and becoming better and better. So what are the principles of planning? We talked about comprehensive. So a good plan must be comprehensive. This means that at the end of the day, you must look at the plan and try to establish everything about the plan and make sure when you're doing this plan, you also need to engage other stakeholders so that they'll be able to give their contribution towards the plan and making the plan comprehensive in the long run. A good plan also, or planning, should be efficient. This is where you are saying that as much as you want to come up with a plan, you need to look at the resources that you have and ensure that you utilize those resources to the best of your ability. And remember, resources are normally scarce in organizations. And by scarcity, we mean sometimes, just a minute, that will help you, maybe to communicate the same to other stakeholders so that when you want to implement these plans, it becomes successful. Then a good plan also needs to be integrated. This means that you need to look at all the decisions, and this plan or planning must ensure that it supports the long-term goals of that organization. Integrated in the sense that it needs to include all other stakeholders from different departments, from different levels of management. Planning also needs to be logical. Logical in the sense that there are some steps that needs to be followed when you're coming up with these plans. And basically, when you're implementing these plans, you also need to be logical in that there's another step that you need to follow for that purpose. Then we're also looking at transparent. A good plan should be transparent in that all stakeholders should understand how the process operates. Why is it important for all stakeholders to understand how it is operated? This is because the information that you give is going to go a long way in ensuring that the process is transparent and each and every party to the planning is also involved. So what is the purpose of planning? Planning ensures organization goals have been accomplished. So it will help you to ensure that at the end of it all, you are going to succeed by focusing on the objective that you need to achieve at the end of the day. Then planning is also necessary for other managerial functions to commence. Remember, planning is the first step of management. So in order for you to start other functions or other managerial functions, you need, first of all, to come up with a plan that is going to provide a framework of how you're going to implement various aspects within the organization. Then it also helps the organization to be able to utilize the resources that they have. And remember, we said resources can be looked at in three ways, where we have the financial resource, we have the human resource, and we have the physical resources. And one of the aspects about resources is that resources are normally scarce. And by scarcity, we mean that sometimes organizations don't have enough resources. They use the little resources that they have to be able to maximize their potential and to be able to achieve what they need to achieve. So planning also helps management to always have a plan B. It is very important for you as management that you must have another alternative plan so that in the event plan A fails, you already have a plan B that will help you to achieve what you want to achieve. Then planning also provides the basis for measuring performance. It will help you to be able to measure your performance. How is it going to help you to measure your performance? It will help you basically to come up with different parameters that will assist in the event you want to understand your measurement in terms of performance. And this also will help you to be able to come up with different control mechanisms, basically in your plans. Therefore, we can say that planning forms the basis of measuring the performance of your organization. So today we are going to look at the types of plans that can be there in an organization. So the first type of plan that is very critical is called a standing or a single plan. So what do we mean when we talk about a standing plan? So a standing plan or a single plan is a plan that is normally going to be used maybe for a very short term or a very short period of time. Basically, it is going to help to achieve operational goals. Operational goals, these are goals that are on a day-to-day basis, goals that you need to achieve on a day-to-day basis. Therefore, it means that an organization must be able to be proactive so that they understand some of the goals that are really critical in their day-to-day operations. Another thing is about a single-use plan. This is a plan developed for a one-time event or project which will not be repeated in the future. So this is a plan that we are going to use once, and once you use that plan, you will not use that plan again in the future. As the name suggests, this is a single-use plan. You only use this plan once, and you might not use the plan again. So the duration of this plan may depend upon the type of project. So this will depend on which project you are doing as an organization. It may go for a week or a month, depending on the type of project. So if you're doing a project that is going to take maybe a week, you can come up with a single-use plan for that week. So once the week elapses, then you can decide to come up with another plan. It includes programs, standards, budgets, and schedules. So at the end of the day, it means that you need to come up with a program that is going to be used during that period. You also need to set a standard, and this standard is going to be applicable to that single-use plan for that particular period. And you also need to set a budget for that. A budget basically is where you set financial resource towards that particular project. And you also need a schedule that will help you during that time when you're doing that plan. Then a standing plan is used for a period of time for those activities occurring regularly over a period of time. So these plans will be used for a very long time. And it also depends with how long you want to use those plans. So they ensure internal operations run smoothly as they enhance decision making. So the main focus of standing plans is to be able to enhance decision making within the organization. Remember, it's not easy to make a decision. Sometimes you need people or you need meetings to be able to come up with major decisions. This will help you a great deal. Standing plans include policies, procedures, methods, and rules. So you could be having policies that are incorporated in that particular plan, or you can have procedures that you need to follow when you want to implement such plans, or the methodology you're going to use when implementing those plans. You can also look at the rules that will guide you when coming up with those plans. The second category of plans are strategic plans and functional plans. So strategic plans, these are plans that are normally done at the top level management. These are plans that are normally done by the top level management. So strategic plans are normally done here. So we have strategic plans. Strategic plans. So normally done at the top level management. So this is the top level management. Then normally what happens is that they come up with some of these plans, and organizations must be able to implement these plans across the whole organization. So these plans are applicable to the whole organization. Then we have the functional plans. These are plans that are normally done at departmental levels. For example, you could be in human resource. So you'll be forced as human resource to come up with the functional plans. Basically, we have the business level here. So most plans, business level. So you'll find that most of the time we have different departments at the business level. And their main focus is to come up with their specific departmental plan so that at the end of it all, they'll be able to achieve what they need to achieve. Then we have operational plans. These are plans that are normally done at the lower level. The first line officers, normally done at the lower, this is the lower level. So these are plans that are done on a day-to-day basis, daily. Remember, every time you wake up and you go to work, you are supposed to come up with operational plans on a day-to-day basis. Because at the end of the day, these are things that arise from time to time. So there is no specific way of dealing with them. So the only way you can deal with them is to deal with them as they arise, because you can't be in a position to understand the next move, or maybe of your customers or your different stakeholders. Therefore, at the lower level management, you normally counter some of those issues by coming up with daily plans. Maybe when you wake up in the morning and you go to work in the morning, you normally have meetings so that you can plan for that day, so that in the event something happens, it becomes easy for you to be able to counter it as an organization or as a team. Another thing that we are going to look at today is the planning tools. For you to successfully implement plans, you need to be able to come up with different tools that will assist you as managers. And these tools are very critical because they give you a framework of what is expected of you and what you need to do to be in order for you to succeed in your plans. So one of the critical tools that you can use is called the affinity diagram. The affinity diagram. So when we talk about the affinity diagram, these are tools that are used to brainstorm techniques that will generate or organize information. Hello?
I have a question.
Yes, yes.
I'm asking,
Yes.
do you only have two types of plants?
Do we have only?
Two types of plants.
There are three. Remember the first one I talked about the standalone plans and the single plans. Then we have the strategic plans, functional plans, and operational plans. Those are five.
There are four, not five.
We have operational plans here. This one. We have this one. And we have the other one, which is the strategic plan.
Making them four.
So there are four, yes, four. The single-use plan and the other three. So there are four. Is that okay? I'm not getting you. Yes? Is that okay?
Yes, it is.
That's okay.
Okay. So let us look at the affinity diagram. The affinity diagram. So this is a tool that is used to brainstorm different techniques or to organize information on complex problems. Just a minute, I display something here. So I want to show you how the affinity diagram looks like. That you can see. What is displayed on a screen? Yes? Confirm what you can see on your screen.
Affinity diagram.
Or the diagram itself. So this is an example of an affinity diagram. you can see that we have different ideas that have been generated by, let's say, different people within the organization. So these ideas help us to be able to come up with different ways of doing different activities within the organization. So it helps us to be able to brainstorm and come up with different ways of maybe doing a particular task or maybe having a plan B on different activities within the organization. So when you're creating an affinity diagram, there are some steps that you need to follow. The first one is to generate ideas. You need to come up with different ideas about different problems that you're facing or opportunities that you're facing within the organization. So for example, we have header 1 there, and we have 3 ideas there that have been generated under header 1. You also have the second header and the third header. So once you have the idea, you have generated the ideas, you need to display those ideas, basing the ideas with the priorities in terms of which idea is superior than the other idea. Then step 2 is to be able to display all these ideas so that once you display the ideas, it becomes easy for each and every person within the organization to be able to see those ideas. Then the other thing is to sort the ideas into groups. So you need to be able to sort those ideas into different problems or different groups so that once you group them, it becomes easier for you to be able to associate different ideas with a particular group of people or group of activities within the organization. Then you also need to create header cards. So every idea that you generated must have a header so that it becomes more specific to a particular problem that you want to solve within the organization. Then you also need to create or draw finished diagrams. So once you have all those ideas, you need to complete those ideas with a diagram that is complete. So once you do that, then you can say you have come up with an affinity diagram. The second one is a tree diagram. A tree diagram is a systematic diagram that helps you to be able to understand or to break down complex ideas into smaller details so that it allows managers to be able to make specific conclusions about a particular activity that you are going to do within the organization. So an example of a tree diagram is there. You can see diagram, the next diagram. This is a tree diagram that looks at employee retention rate within the organization. So this tree diagram wants you to understand different factors that leads to an employee maybe remaining in one employment for quite some time and the rate of employee retention. One of the factors there we are saying is the financial reward. It means that if employees are paid well, then the employees will be able to remain in that particular organization. Here they are looking at the basic salary and any form of variable pay. For example, the allowances or maybe basically the allowances and the overtimes. So if the allowances are high, then the rate of retention of these employees will be very, very critical. So if the basic salary is high, then the retention of these employees will also go up. It will be very high because most organizations or employees will feel that there's no need of going outside to look for another job, yet we are being paid well in this organization. Then the second one is the work environment. So in order for you to retain employees, you need to have a good work environment. And you need to be able to ensure that you build an environment where you can easily build relationships amongst the different teams. And that is why we are looking at the cross-functional teams within the organization, how you involve your team members will play a very critical role in ensuring that employees are retained. Then we're also looking at the physical environment. This is the environment in which the employees operate in. If the environment is good, then at the end of the day, you can easily maximize your employee retention rate. It means that if the work environment is good, then employees will automatically be in a position to be in that organization for quite some time. Then we're also looking at work-life balance. This is where you have to ensure that your employees, as much as they want to work, they also need to look at their families so that they don't take much of their time working and they forget that they also have a family in place. And that is why some organizations have gone ahead to have flexi working hours where you can still work from home and you can still deliver. So if that is the case, then it means the employee retention will be very, very high. Some organizations have gone ahead to come up with daycares so that if you are maybe you can bring your kids on board as you work and it becomes better for you in that organization. So if that is the case, then we can say you will be able to maximize the retention rate. So that is an example of a tree diagram. The third one is interrelationship diagram or relationship diagrams. This is a diagram that is going to ensure that it brings a pictorial view of the relationship that exists within the different departments. It helps managers to develop solutions that are systematic and can be analyzed. Basically, the cost-effect relationship, which are very, very critical. So an example there, just a minute, an example there. Let's see. So we have an interrelationship diagram there. And this diagram shows a relationship that exists among different issues within the organization. For example, you can look at the customer service as a relationship with the return on investment, which is also critical when we talk about customer value. And work environment is also very important for customer service and very important for technology, very important for product innovation. When the work environment is good, you can easily come up with new ideas. You can also be in a position to provide value. So this diagram, yes, yes.
Kindly zoom the diagram.
Or we zoom. Are you able to see now?
Yes.
Okay. It's okay. So we are saying this is an interrelationship diagram. It allows you to be able to relate different functions with each other or among each other. For example, when you talk about product innovation is going to give you customer value, and it will also help you to get your return on investment. Then when we talk about technology is very important for product innovation, so that you need to come up with modern technology that will help you to increase your product innovation within the organization. So this is a typical example of a relationship diagram and how well it can be incorporated within the organization. So it plays a very critical role in ensuring the success of any business. Then another one is the matrix diagram. So the technique uses table format to show correlation between two or more variables, providing connection points between each variable, allowing the managers to identify the relationship through a grid of rows and columns. So when you look at the matrix diagram, you realize that it gives a relationship between different functions And this is very common when you are dealing with different projects within the organization. So you can be having projects with different functional areas. For example, look at that example there. We are looking at an action, the action that you need to do, and the goal that you need to achieve. For example, if your goal is to ensure that we have cost effectiveness, it means that you need to improve your work environment. How can you improve your work environment? By ensuring that you bring different facilities that will help people to be able to maintain their performance well. And once the performance is good, then it means that at the end of the day, when the work environment is good, people will have morale and it will force them to be able to work smart, therefore reducing costs within the organization. You can also improve the manufacturing technology, but this relationship is a medium relationship because once you improve the environment, it means that it will have a ripple effect on the technology of manufacturing. Therefore, in order for you to be able to achieve your cost effectiveness, what actions do you need to do? Number one, you need to improve your work environment. And number two, you need to improve your manufacturing technology. The other goal is to have high quality. If you want to have high quality, what does it mean? It means that at the end of the day, you still need to have improved your work environment and also improve your manufacturing technology. And lastly, if you want to increase your customer satisfaction, you need to develop new product. Developing new product is very, very strong. So you need to develop new products for you to be able to increase your customer satisfaction. And developing new products will call for diversification of your business. Diversification is where you decide to come up with new ideas, or you can decide also to improve the already existing products that you have. So diversification can take place in two ways. So diversification can take place in two ways, where we have concentric diversification, and we also have the other one, which is known as conglomerate diversification. So concentric is where you diversify in a similar line of, for example, if you are in a particular industry, maybe you are in the juice industry or the drink industry, beverage industry, you can decide to start producing another set of beverage. For example, you used to produce Coke, you can decide you're going to start producing water or maybe juice for purposes of growing your business. But the other one is where you diversify in a different area totally. And the most common type of diversification, if I use an example, I can talk about Equity Bank, where Equity has decided that they are starting hospitals, the Equity Afia, for purposes of growing their business. They have also decided that in future, they want to come up with an insurance company. So you are growing your business in a totally different area other than your core business. So you decide to do that. Another tool that is very important is the prioritization matrix. This is a technique that ranks problems in order of which they should be worked on. So when we talk about prioritization matrix, this is where you are coming up with different problems and you are ranking these problems depending on their priority, so that those problems that are critical or complex are given the first priority. Therefore, you need to be able to take actions on those problems that you feel are going to affect your business highly. So it uses rows and columns that display optional criteria. And numerical values is derived from each item, the level of its importance, and how you are going to prioritize them. So let us look at an example of a priority. Let's see if we have it. Yes. So this is an example of a priority matrix where we have high importance and low. We also have low, high, and urgency. So the first part talks about the importance. So here we have the importance, those things that are very important and urgent. So the first one, do next, it means that this thing has high importance. So it has high importance, and it also has low urgency. So the urgency is not that much, but it is very, very important. Then we also have this one where the urgency is very high. The urgency is high, and the importance is also very high. So these are the things that you need to do them like yesterday, because if you don't do them, then it means that at the end of the day, you're going to be faced with a lot of challenges. So these ones are treated as high priority items. These are items that are of high importance, and also they are very urgent in the organization. Then number 3, these are things that are of high urgency, but of low importance. High urgency, but of low importance. So these ones, you need to do them last. And we also have those ones that are not important, and at the same time, they are not urgent. So those ones, you can decide not to do them, or if need be, you can do them towards the end of your priority list. So number 1 and number 2 are very critical. So you need to do them.
Yeah.
Any question? Yes, Purity,
No, no for now.
Beatrice, Ogaya.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Kindly give example of priorities, maybe so that we can understand through examples.
maybe you can give me one that you think of.
Can you say
Yes.
maybe you need? Can you say maybe?
Can you say you are saying something?
Maybe we need to add some stuff in an organization. Can you take that as a priority?
Is it important or urgent?
Yeah, let's say it's urgent because maybe the work is too much and it's somehow delaying.
So I've given there an example. That one is okay. For example, paying your suppliers. So is paying your suppliers important? Depending on the supplier. So you can say if you don't pay your suppliers, then it is urgent to pay your suppliers on time, and it's equally very, very important to pay them on time. If you don't pay them, they'll withdraw their services. So this can affect your operation. Another example that you can give. Yes, we have Angelina.
Maybe, for example,
Yes,
yes, I'm saying, sir,
yes,
yeah, take an example for instance,
yes,
you have, you have, uh, you have employees who needs to be paid.
yes,
At the same time, you have suppliers who are also demanding for their pay,
yes,
and yeah, for example, there are two, and the pressure is too high.
yes. So
How
for
are you going to
employees,
balance? Yes.
you need to pay your employees on time, because if you don't pay them on time, they will sabotage your business and they will start going slow, go slow. This will affect the performance of your farm. So the first priority you need first to look at internally. So you need to pay your suppliers first. Your employees. Then the priority is pay your employees first, then pay your suppliers. Because if you don't pay them, they will withdraw their services, and it will still affect your customers. So if that is the priority list, then we can say, according to that, employees normally come first, then the suppliers, then the customers, like that, based on payment. But when you look at other parameters, you can find that customers must come first, then suppliers, then employees, like that. So it depends with the situation. It depends with what you're facing as an organization. Another example that we can give, maybe in terms of the internet. So is the internet important? Is it urgent? Yes? What is
Yes,
your take? Yes? Yes, Njoroge? Jean Njoroge?
Yes, Malima, yes, internet is important.
Is it urgent?
Yes, because if you don't have it, your business won't run properly.
So you need to ensure that those facilities are up and running.
Yes.
So you need to be very categorical when you are making payments. You also need to involve the internet, because if you don't have the internet is like a bottleneck. Bottleneck. It is going to affect your organization if you don't take care of it. So it is a small thing, but it can affect your business in the long run. So I think that one is okay. So the other thing we will look at is the arrow diagram or activity network diagram. Sorry, the process decision program chart. It is the best tool when preparing contingency plan, since it maps out every probable event when implementing a solution. So remember, in organizations, you normally plan for contingency. Even if you're not going to experience the contingency, it's always important to have a plan A, a plan B, even a plan C, so that in the event there's a contingency, you already know what you are going to do or how you are going to ensure that in the event there is that contingency, you can easily counter the contingency. A good example that I like using is during the Corona period. Most organizations did not have contingency plans And that is why when you look at 2019, 2020, most institutions were closed because of not preparing in advance the possibility of what was going to happen. So this tool will identify any shortcomings of the plan, assist managers to create the appropriate measure to minimize the risk. So the main purpose of having a process decision program chart is to be able to measure the level of risk and how well you are going to mitigate those risks so that at the end of the day, you are most likely to mitigate those risks. So let us look at the tree diagram, the activity diagram, decision diagram. So that is an example of a decision diagram. And this is a decision where the organization wants to plan a vacation for their employees. So number one, the action is planning a vacation. So you need to look at the possible steps that you need to follow when you're coming up with the vacation plan. So one of the steps is to make a basic choice. So you need to choose. What are you going to choose? You're going to choose a vacation site. So the first one is to choose a vacation site here. So the vacation site can't agree. All sites are already full. So you need to start discussing the sites earlier so that you don't face a scenario where you will find that all the sites are already full. The number two, step two, is to ensure that you choose a vacation date. It's very, very important. Make sure you choose a vacation date. So when are you going for the vacation? It's very, very important for you to be able to know when are you going for the vacation. This therefore means that can't get time off work. So you need to look at the possibilities. Maybe when you have the date in place, it means that some people might be working during that time, or others might not get the opportunity because they will still be working. Then we are saying as vacation approaches get too busy to leave. So sometimes you also need to look at the possibility. Maybe you set a date during the peak hours. So it means that most people will be working during that time because it will be very busy. So you need to also look at the timings so that some people might not have the opportunity maybe to come. Then we'll choose same date as everyone else goes. So it means that you also need to look at others who are going for that particular vacation. So you need to choose a period that not many people will be going to that area. Therefore, you are forced to choose an off-peak date so that you don't affect the operation of your department. Then number three, you need to choose a hotel. Which hotel are you going to go? All hotels are already full. It means that you can't find a hotel. So if all hotels are full, so it becomes very difficult for you to be able to get a hotel that will serve you. Then won't be able to find quality hotel inside areas. So it means that you will not be able to get a hotel that is good during the period that you want to go on vacation. So go to site with many hotels to choose from. So you can be forced to get a counter plan that helps you to choose other areas that you can go to. So the second step is to do research. Make sure that you do research. Then make arrangements for the absence. And lastly, you need to come up with a budget. And budget basically is the money that you're going to spend during your vacation. So this is an example of a decision tree that can help you. So it gives you alternatives. so that if A does not work, you will still have a plan B and a plan C. The other one is an arrow diagram on an activity network diagram. The arrow diagram or an activity network diagram. So it is best in depicting project timelines. So you'll be able to understand your project timelines, the duration that you need to do your project up to the time you complete the project. So it displays tasks, groups, and activities, interdependent relationships. It will help you to be able to choose relationships that are interdependent. They depend on each other. So it does not only show the best schedule for the whole project, but also shows the resources, problems, and their solutions. So most likely you are going to also get solutions to the various problems that you are expected to get at the end of the day. So you need to be proactive when you're looking at the possibilities and when you're looking at the resources that are very critical during your So let us look at the diagram so that we see the activity diagram. So this is a typical example of an activity diagram. And this is where an organization decides to install a new system for their operations. So we have different activities that can be done. For example, we have this path. So where this is number one, where there's need analysis. Then you go to configure the system. Then you can decide to request for bids. You can decide to purchase the equipment. You can decide to install the system, or you can decide to train the user. So in this one, you will use 1, then you'll go to 2, you'll go to 3, you'll go to 5, you'll go to 6, then 7, then you'll finish with 8. So that is one path that you can use that will help you to achieve the same result that you need to achieve. Then you can decide to use the second route like this, then you finish there. So this means that you'll take number 1, then go to 2, then go to 4, then go to 6, 7, and finally go to 8. So it means that you will have to do your need analysis. Once you have the need analysis, you will train, you will prepare for training, then you will schedule a training, you will install the system, and lastly, you can train the users. So the result is the same, but you've used the different routes. The main focus for you is to be able to install a new computer system. Any question? Esther Wairimu? Jawahir Hassan? Jawahir Hassan?
Yes,
Do you have a
Mwalimu.
question? Do you have a question?
No.
Okay. So before we start the planning process, we shall have a commercial break, 5 minutes, then we come back. Is the planning process. The planning process. So when we talk about planning process, we are talking about series of steps that an organization or an individual can follow when coming up with a plan. Remember, planning, we said, is a very critical activity because it gives you the leeway of understanding what you are most likely to do in the future. So one of the first steps or process is setting objectives. So you need to understand what you need to achieve. You need to know what you need to achieve at the end of the day. As an individual, what do you need to achieve? As an organization, what do you need to achieve? So once you understand that, it becomes easier for you to be able to start the process of developing a plan that is going to be helpful in the organization. The second step is to determine a planning premise or assumptions. Remember, planning normally deals with assumptions. You are assuming what are you going to do maybe next year or maybe 3 years from now. So once you have that premise of what you want to do in future, then we can say that you need to develop that premise by forecasting what you want to achieve in the future. So these base materials may be in form of forecasts, existing plans, or any past information about the policies. So you need to look at your past information, try to develop a premise that is going to be used in future. The number 3 is to identify and develop various alternatives. So you need to come up with various ways of achieving what you want to achieve. It can either be something that you do on a routine basis or something that you can innovate, a new idea that you can bring on board, an idea that will help you to achieve your goals, an idea that is going to push you to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. So once you have all those alternatives, it can be 1, 2, or 3, even 4 ideas that you need to pursue. So once you have all those ideas, it will take us to the next step, which is to evaluate the various course of actions based on acceptability, suitability, and visibility. So you are going to look at every idea that you have, try to analyze those ideas, try to understand where these ideas are coming from. Are these ideas going to be acceptable in the future? Are these ideas suitable for what I want to achieve? Are they feasible? Can we say that we can be able to measure these ideas? What are the advantages and disadvantages of these ideas? So you need to be very, very categorical when you are doing your evaluations so that it will help you to be able to choose the best alternative course of action. The next step is to be able to come up with the best plan that you can implement. So make sure you have a plan, that you have made a choice from the alternative plans. And this plan is what now is going to be implemented within the organization. So it becomes easy for you when you're choosing a plan, and the best plan will always give you a catapult force towards implementation successfully within the organization. So you must be very vigorous when you're doing your evaluation. So that remember, when you get a good plan, this is also very important because it will help you to achieve many things. So this is the step of putting plans into action. So once you implement these plans, it means that you're putting your best plan into action. You are actualizing these plans. The other step is to monitor the plan and ensure that the plan is really working. So you need to be able to ensure that these plans are working and they are working well. And they are working well. These plans are working, they are working well. So monitoring helps you to understand or to come up with the corrective mechanisms. In the event they are not working, you can easily go back to your plans and try to establish the exact area that you need to improve. So it will help you to achieve all that. So what are the planning challenges? What are the planning challenges? Remember, it's not a walk in the park. Sometimes it becomes very difficult when you are doing your plans. The first challenge that we can look at is that planning leads to rigidity. Some people will just focus on that plan. They don't want to look at different alternatives of the plan. What you have put on paper is what you want to use, and it is what you want to implement. Sometimes it's not going to work, but because you have already written the plan in place, you don't want to be flexible. And this increases some level of resistance where people don't want to change from what they are used to. So planning leads to rigidity because of the difficulties when people do not want change. Remember, change is inevitable, but it is not always easy to make that change. Then planning does not guarantee success. It does not mean that when you have the plan in place, you are going to automatically succeed. Sometimes you might fail vigorously, you might fail vigorously. So your plans sometimes might be good on paper, but in reality, they are not going to help you achieve what you want to achieve. Then planning reduces creativity in the sense that sometimes people don't want to work extra hard to come up with ideas because they think that what the plan already has is final. So people don't want to use a lot of time thinking about some things that are not in that plan. So it leads to reduction in creativity. Then planning is a time-consuming exercise. It requires a lot of time when you are coming up with these plans. This is because you need to come up with different stakeholders. They need to discuss, they need to go into meetings and try to develop a plan that is going to cover the whole organization. It's not an easy task. Therefore, it is going to consume a lot of your time, and this might end up slowing down the implementation process. Then planning involves huge costs in formulating them. Remember, when you are doing these meetings, sometimes you consume a lot of resources, and this might go a long way to affect your operation in terms of profit, because you must ensure that you spend a lot of money to come up with a plan that is going to be a replica of the performance that you want to achieve at the end of the day. Look at the strategic plans, for example. They take a very long time in order for the organization to be able to achieve what they need to achieve. Hello? You're asking a question? Okay. So planning may not work in a business dynamic environment because the business keeps on changing. Remember, we are working in an environment where things always change on a day-to-day basis. So sometimes you might have a good plan on paper, but in reality, it is not going to assist so much in your business because of the changing nature of the business. For example, when we talk about political risks, some businesses may experience political risks, and these might affect everything about business. Legal aspects of the business also might be affected, and also it might lead to challenges when you want to implement the plan. In the event we have political interference, sometimes it might be difficult to be able to achieve some plans. A good example is the SHA, which is experiencing a lot of political interference. As much as they want to implement the plan of affordable healthcare, they cannot do that because of political interference and policies that might affect them and affect the general public. So planning and the planner could be frustrated by powerful people who have individual interests. Sometimes you might have a scenario where people have their own interests and they can influence the decision that you want to make. They might influence the plan, the overall plan. So they might put a clause in the plan that favors their interest, and that could be very difficult when you want to implement your plans in the organization. So how can we make plans to be effective? How can we make plans to be effective? So number one, you need to be conscious for planning. So you need to ensure that you have a lot of consciousness when you're planning. And consciousness in the sense that you need to ensure that the organization climate favors you so that you don't end up being in a situation where you are forced by different stakeholders to do what you are not supposed to do, or to be able to come up with rules that are not going to give a reflection of what is happening in that particular organization. So consciousness for planning is essential for a plan to be effective. So you need to act with some level of consciousness and look at the future and what the future holds so that you are not influenced to make a decision that might affect the majority. The other thing is that top managers support the plan is very essential for a plan to be effective. So in order for the plans to be effective, top management support is also very critical. Remember, if the top managers are involved, then the success rate is going to be very high because remember, they are the major decision makers. And if they are in it, it means that everything else is going to be successful. Then the initiative and support of top level managers is essential for making the plan effective. It means that they will also be in a position to allocate resources that will support the overall plan. Another thing that is very important is the issue of proper communication. Communication should be top-down communication or bottom-up communication. So communication plays a very critical role and ensure that all people are involved. Communication should be communicated across the board, be it at the top level, be it at the medium level, or at the lower level. You also need to ensure that you improve your channel of communication or your channel of exchange. For example, if you are going to use the emails, make sure that the emails are really working. If you're going to use maybe the print media, make sure it's working. The social media, make sure the channel of communication is going to support your initiative in planning. Then all stakeholders of a project should be involved in the planning process. Make sure you bring all stakeholders on board so that they can support your business or your plan, what you want to achieve. So it means that planning will help you when you involve every functional manager in different departments. So planning process should be involved or should involve persons from different levels and fields. So you need to include people in marketing, you need to include people in human resource, you need to include people in other areas like engineering, so that once they come together and share their ideas, then at the end of the day, it means that we'll have a good plan that will show a reflection of the whole organization. Then another thing is that you need to treat both short and long-term plans with the same importance, will ensure the plans are effective. So you need to treat the short-term plans and the long-term plans with some level of importance so that once you incorporate all of them, then it is going to help achieve the long-term plans. So if the short-term plans are not that good, then it might be very difficult for you to be able to achieve the long-term plans. Any question? Yes. Gladys?
I don't have a question. I'm okay.
Maria?
No question, Mwalimu.
Meshak Lekumok?
I don't have any questions, sir. Thank you.
And lastly, Ngugi Susanna. Susanna, your name is very long. Susan. Yes?
I also don't have a question, Mwalimu.
Okay, let us look at management by objectives. Management by objectives. Management by objectives. So this is a very common phrase, and this is a combination of management and objectives. So according to Mullins 2005, MBO is used to describe a style or system of management which attempts to relate organizational goals to individual performance and development through the involvement of all levels of management. So it means that at the end of the day, we're trying to look at the individual performance, the organizational goals, and trying to bring them together so that at the end of the day, we'll be able to involve each and every person to achieve the organizational goals. Therefore, each and every person is involved in ensuring that the organization succeeds by the implementation of different goals that they want to achieve. So the underlying basis of this system is the setting of objectives and targets. In order for MBO to be very successful, there has to be objectives that are known by each and every individual in the organization or the department that you are in. And you also need to include targets. Each and every individual must have a target that they want to achieve. A good example is when an organization wants to increase their sales. It means that each and every individual will be the agent of that company outside there. So that if you're outside the organization, you need to be selling your products to your networks or the people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. So if that is the case, then it means everybody else within the organization is involved to the success of that organization. Number two is that participation by individual managers in agreeing unit objective and criteria of the performance. Every manager must be part and parcel of achieving the MBO by ensuring that they agree with the different units that they operate in. And the main focus there is to ensure that you succeed in terms of performance, you increase your performance. Then another thing is about appraisal of results. You need to come up with ways of reviewing your appraisals. How are you going to measure the result of people? And the best way to do that is by appraising the results by coming up with different parameters or coming up with different factors that will assist you to succeed. Then another thing, remember MBO involves a continuous cycle of interrelated activities. So we have activities that are interrelated, and these activities go a long way to ensure that we have successful management by objectives. The first one is the clarification of organizational goals and objectives. Make sure that you clarify, make sure that these goals are communicated clearly, and each member of that institution is able to understand what is needed to be achieved. Then another thing is to review the organization structure. Every organization that exists today has a structure in place, and the structure provides a guide of understanding the chain of command or the hierarchy, who is supposed to report to who and at what time. So if the structure is a good structure, it will help in ensuring that we have effective communication, so that communication will trickle from the top managers going down to the lower level managers. And feedback will trickle from the lower level going up to the top level. So if that is the case, then it will help in ensuring that we have quick decision making and timely feedback information. So communication is very powerful in the success of the organization. Then participation with subordinates in order to gain their willing acceptance of objectives and targets in key areas, standards, measurements, and performance. Make sure that each and every party in that organization participates in ensuring that the process is smooth and efficient. Then agreement on performance improvement plans, which will enable subordinates to make the optimum contribution to meeting their objectives. So make sure you are clear from the word go, and you automatically know that at the end of it all, you can succeed. Another thing is to review the organization performance against the stated goals. So you must be very, very categorical and always review your performance, so that at the end of it all, you can succeed as an organization. Any question?
Mwalimu, I have a question.
Yes.
I've checked in the LMS, these notes are not there. Just confirm if it's there or I'm the one who missed it.
I'm also not in the LMS. I've talked to Kachipo, and he will add me maybe tomorrow, and I will upload them there. Don't worry.
All right,
I also
thank you.
have the same problem.
Okay.
Yes. Any other question?
Now my question is going back to the management by objective.
Yes.
Is it reviewable? Can you review it? Or once you've set the objectives, does it have a time frame? That's what I did not see or hear, or maybe I missed it.
Okay, the main focus is to achieve a particular objective. Once you achieve that objective, it means you can still come up with another objective. So it also depends with the objectives that you have. For example, if your objective was to increase your sales, and you have increased your sales, maybe you had a certain target that you wanted to achieve. You have reached that target. You can still set another target. Maybe your target was $1 million, and you achieved that. You can still set another one, be $1.5 billion. So depending on what you have achieved, so once you achieve it, you can still include other objectives. They are not restricted to the objectives that you say. These objectives can be reviewed. Maybe after some period of time, you can review those objectives. Is that okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Another question?
Mwalimu,
Yes.
I was requesting if you can still share the notes on the WhatsApp group.
I will. So what I'm going to do, the class president, Gladys ama nani, anitumie link. You share the link so that I can share in the chat.
But you're in the group.
I'm saying maybe you are not in the group,
I'm in the group.
because I shared. You are in which group?
The PPM.
PPMP.
I shared today. Confirm.
Yeah, the notes are there, sir.
Yeah, they are there. No concerned. So organizing, remember, is one of the functions of management. And organizing plays a critical role in ensuring that the organization is able to get the correct resources that can help the organization to maximize their potential. So organizing is responsible for ensuring that the managers are able to look on resources that are critical in the success of the operations within a business. So at the end of this topic, we shall be looking at the importance of organizing. Shall also look at the different organization structures and designs that can be implemented in the organization. We can be able to talk about the principles of organizing. And lastly, we shall describe the organizing process. The organizing process. So organizing is considered as the second function of managers. So as a manager, you need to ensure that you have the ability to organize different activities or resources within the organization. So organizing is the process of coordinating and allocating a firm resources in order to carry out its plan. Different organizations have different plans, and the focus of these plans is to be able to achieve them at the end of the day. And the only best way to achieve these plans is to ensure that you have the right resources that will foster you to achieve those objectives or plans. Then we are talking about another critical aspect of organizing, where we are saying that at the end of it all, you need to ensure that you coordinate these resources in different areas that are critical for the organization. Organizing includes developing a structure for people, positions, departments, and activities within the firm. So you'll be able to ensure that there are structures that are well known to people. So that if you talk about the CEO, you already know that the CEO is the head of that particular organization. In procurement, we say that we are saying that at the end of the day, you need to have structures. And the essence of having a structure is to have people within those structures so that you know who holds a particular position and who is in which department and what are the activities that those departments are doing. So managers can arrange the structural elements of the firm to maximize the flow of information and efficiency of the work processes. So the main focus here is to be able to maximize the flow of activities within the organization. And as much as you want to ensure that we have work efficiency, you also need to look at the information that you are going to gather. And remember, they always say that information is power. And organizations nowadays have been able to capitalize on information. And that is why they are really investing so much on technology. Remember, technology is a game changer and has been able to ensure that organizations that are implementing this technology are well versed with information. A good example is a company like Safaricom, where they are really on the forefront of getting information about customers, information about products, information about their services, so that they can use this information to their advantages. And they are in the business of ensuring that they tap as much information as possible. They have come up with different control mechanisms, basically using systems. And these systems allow them to gather information. They can be able to know how many customers have bought their products today. They can easily look at the sales. They can look at feedbacks from customers. And this will help them make major decisions that will be geared towards ensuring that they create a more efficient way of doing their operations. They accomplish this by doing the following. Number one, in order for you to be able to organize yourself well, is to divide labor or division of labor, dividing up tasks. Remember, structures are helpful when you are dividing up tasks because you already know if you are in marketing, this is my scope, this is what I'm supposed to do. Failure to do that, it means that I'll be having a challenge in this organization, or I'll be having a challenge achieving my goals. Then number two is grouping jobs and employees. This is called departmentalization, where you automatically know that you belong to a particular department. Maybe you are in marketing, another person is in sales, another one is in engineering, and things like that. So once you have these departments, it becomes easy to group jobs based on the departments. Then lastly, we have assigned authority and responsibility, normally referred to as delegation. This is where you can decide to delegate different activities to different people. And at the end of the day, you can monitor what they are doing so that you can either correct them or you can add them more responsibility. What is the importance of organizing? What is the importance of organizing? The first importance is that organizing helps in creating transparency and clarity about authority and responsibility, so that the authority and responsibility must be clearly written, and every person must understand their job description. And the only way to do that is by ensuring that you have organized your activities well, so that each and every member of that particular department or that particular organization exactly knows what he or she is supposed to do. So that when you go to work tomorrow, you automatically know that tomorrow I'm going to do A, B, and C. So job description is well defined and well communicated. Another importance is that through organization, it can be easy for an organization to grow and expand. So once you organize your resources well and you have divided your work well, then at the end of the day, it will help you to increase your strength. And by increasing your strength, it means that you'll be growing and expanding as a business. So the only way to succeed in this is by way of organizing your resources, organizing your activities towards achieving growth and expansion. Then the role of overlap, duplication, confusion, and delays are minimized through organizing. Remember, you can easily minimize all those activities, overlapping activities, because of organizing. We are grouping activities that are similar together to avoid cases of duplication, to avoid cases of overlapping, confusion, and things like that. Next is division of work in departments and functions brought about by formulation of organizational structure, allow activity specialization. So organizing will help you to organize your work in different departments or functions And therefore, these activities will allow some level of specialization. Then we are talking about organization makes it easier for departments to coordinate, as well as coordination of authority and responsibility. So you'll be able to coordinate different activities and responsibilities together. It becomes very easy when you have organization. When we have organization. So next time when we meet, we shall look at organizational structure and design. Organization structure and design. Any question? Any question? Bishop Atea? Yes.
No question, Mwalimu.
Yes.
Could you indicate your phone number, please, here?
Okay, phone number. Phone number. As a phone number. Then there was also something I shared the other time. You were supposed to fill it. For those who didn't fill, make sure you fill it. For those who did not fill, make sure
Can
you
we
do
share
that.
it?
I'm sharing it right
Can you-
away. I'm sharing it right away. Just a minute. Then for those who are doing CHRP, make sure you chat me so that there is something we need to arrange. If you're doing CHRP, make sure you chat me so that we plan on some things. So the form is there on your screen, on your chat. Make sure you fill it. For those who did not fill, for those who did not fill, make sure you click there and fill. Those who did not fill, make sure you fill that form so that at least I get your data. Lilian Mukopi, you have a question? Or a comment? I want to take this opportunity to wish you good night. Bishop Atea, you wanted to say something?
Good night to you.
Good night. Bishop.
Good night, Mwalimu.
Good night. Good night. Okay.
No, not really, sir. I mean, I'm just grateful.
Okay.
Thank you.
I rest my case. See you when you see me. I'll share the notes so that at least you can follow. Thank you.
Good night, madam, and my classmates.
Yeah, good night.
Mwalimu, you can also share the other notes because we've just joined the WhatsApp group.
No problem.
You can reshare. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay.